Greetings and welcome to Heart Expressions with Barbara. I am your host, Barbra Gentry Pugh, and I am excited to have as my guest again, Dr. Velva Flowers. Welcome, Dr. Flowers.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is just so awesome to see you back with the finished product.
Finished product.
The finished product. Dr. Flowers, it is just amazing the job that you've done with the young men. And now we have choices.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
Just seeing the young men and your interview on the last show that we had. It's just awesome that they have not only become young authors,
Yes.
but the message
Yes.
that they and the experience of the interviews and the men that they interviewed.
Right.
So we're going to be talking about choices today.
Wonderful. Awesome.
And I just want to say a little bit about Dr. Flowers. She's an awesome woman of God. She is the Chief Empowerment Officer of Flowers Institute. And she's a professional resource trainer and empowerment coach. And she's done so many wonderful things. And she's just a busy lady. But most of all, I've enjoyed her as a preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so I'm just happy to know you and just all the work that you're doing.
Amen. Well,
And
thank
so
you.
I'm just so excited about choices, and we're going to let you talk about choices. The
Okay.
finished product is here.
It's here.
It's here. She said, you'll probably frame this guy.
That's my
But,
gallery proof. So.
Yes, it is just an awesome experience. I don't think it's ever really been done before. I don't know of a book that's been published that had young authors with the kind of thing that you're doing here.
I'm not sure, but I tell you what, as we talked about before, when it was first dropped in my spirit, I thought that I was supposed to write it. And so it went on my to-do list with all of the other things that God has given me. And but when I began to engage it about 3 years ago, revelation began to unfold. And the more I engaged it, the more God showed me what was to take place. And so that's when I discovered that it was not meant for me to write the book, as it was meant for me to take some young men through a process of writing each chapter in the book. And so once I discovered that, I mean, it just seems like everything began to fall into place.
Wow.
It really has been an amazing experience. It really has.
Let's talk about the young men that give their names and a little snipping about some of the things that they wrote about in the book. We want our audience to know about choices and the benefit that it's going to be for young people.
All right. Well, it's 15. Matter of fact, I'll go through. They're all listed on the back of the book, so I'll go through in order. There is Christopher Jackson, the second. He's an 11th grader at Country Day. And Chris is just, oh my goodness, he is such an awesome young man. When I hear him talk, to be at the age that he is very articulate. But it's not just the articulation about him that strikes me. It is his passion. Wow. He speaks. And I wasn't speaking at his age the way that he is speaking. He speaks with passion and conviction. He speaks with a belief in what he's talking about. And that's unique about him. That's going to take him a long way. His writing skills are excellent. And he wrote the first chapter in the book, as a matter of fact, about Oscar Knowles. And I have so much admiration and respect for Oscar. He actually spent 10 years incarcerated. He has his own book. His book is listed in the back of the book where I talk about the case study guides. But he has his own book talking about how he overcame his journey. 10 years incarcerated, illiterate until the age of 30, and now a multimillionaire.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm telling you, when he came to give his interview, probably about 4 or 5 of the young men were in the session, and they were on the edge of their seats, listening intensely to what he was saying. One of the things I asked the case study guides was, I didn't give the topic, a specific topic for them to share, but I did say very specifically, I need your stories to be substantive. Whatever it is that you talk about.
It has to be a message.
It has to be a message. A poor choice and a good choice. And both choices need to show a lesson, be a roadmap for strategic direction for these young men. And the transformation that took place in the telling of the stories were just powerful.
Wow.
Was powerful. So that's the first chapter. The second chapter is James Lundy III, my son.
Your son. All
A
right.
10th grader at Troy High. So you know, obviously, there's a special affection there, right?
Absolutely.
That young man, he's one of the young men that participated in the project forcibly. By force.
Your son.
Yes,
And
by
has no
force.
choice.
No choice. And he actually wrote on 2 case study guides.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
good,
he
good.
wrote on Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman went to Michigan State with me on a full ride scholarship. One of the fastest young men in track, graduated from Denby High. He ended up selling drugs and getting caught up into that. He's currently incarcerated. But when I asked Derek if he would share his story, let me tell you, he was so passionate about sharing his story. And I love that and respect that about him, that he wanted to be able to say, hey, let me tell you what I did. Because he did, we're
The mistake that I made.
Exactly.
The choice that I
Because he had everything laid out. I mean, even in his good choice was powerful. It showed the makeup of him and the decisions he made, and so that just the lessons in the good choice and the poor choice. But I'm just grateful that he was willing to be so authentic about sharing his choice. Then I have Dr. J. Marks, who is an awesome man of God. He's an educational consultant with Oakland Schools, and he shared his choice. He did a choice he made in high school, and the impact, the negative consequence of that. And he talked about how he, really hadn't made any, I won't say any poor choices, but not anything that he had gotten caught up with. And it wasn't until his senior year. So he talked about what happened in that choice. And then he talked about going on, how he struggled in school was so powerful. How he struggled in school, how he barely got into college. He talked about all the colleges he applied for because he didn't take school seriously. But then not only did he graduate, get accepted into college, graduate, go on to get a master's, go on to get a PhD. So all of those lessons, are involved in that.
It's unfortunate that sometimes we do make bad choices, but isn't it the goodness of God that He can take a bad situation and turn it around for our good?
Absolutely.
And
I preached this morning,
All right.
and I talked about who God uses, and I stated you can't tell me who God will or will not use, and if you argue the point that God only uses people who make good choices, then you are putting in question the entire Bible.
Well, the disciples wasn't quite
Absolutely
had it together when He chose them.
Absolutely. And if we go all the way back to the Old Testament,
yes.
one of the things is because it's never about us.
Yes.
It's about God.
And it's about becoming.
It's about becoming,
Yes.
pointing to the glory of God and how God will use even I said it this morning, I said, it's amazing how God uses the foolish things of the world to confound the wise.
Yes.
God would take the mess and the misery and the stuff of my husband and use it for ministry.
Yes. Yes.
That is nobody but God.
And when you see the hand of God working,
Oh my goodness.
it just blows your mind.
It blows your mind.
It blows your mind.
So that's who else we
awesome.
have? We have Sylvester McIntosh. I just love this young man. Sylvester
I remember
McIntosh
him.
III.
I remember him.
Do you?
The little slim
Yes.
guy. He was so proper.
Yes.
He sat there.
Oh
So
my
stoically.
goodness. Yes.
He's so cute. I remember him.
He is. He's a 10th grader at the University of Detroit, Jesu. And I can't wait to see, the unfolding of his life. Because God has great things planned for him.
You can see that.
You can see
You
it.
can see it.
He wrote about Minister Cedric Townsend, minister at Triumph Church, as a matter of fact. That's where I met Cedric. He's a awesome guy, entrepreneur.
Okay.
Has his own technology company, and his life experience in sharing of his choices is awesome. And he different points in there about his relationship with friends and getting off track and all of the things that he was exposed to. However, but God.
But
and
God.
God's covering and God's mercy and God's grace.
Can I just stop you for a minute?
Yes.
I see a movie.
Well, you are like at least the fourth person that has said that.
Confirmation.
That is.
It just came. I see a movie. I do.
I you know what? I don't put anything past God. And I know that nothing is impossible for God.
You just said that.
All things are possible with God.
Yes.
For God. Nothing is impossible.
Yeah, Pastor was preaching this morning about problems. You have a problem. He talked from 2 Chronicles about Jehoshaphat.
Yes.
And
that's one of my, I love, that's one of my favorites.
I need some worshipers.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I don't need an army. You go home, I need some worshipers.
I need some worshipers, okay?
To turn this around.
Yes, to turn this around. And how about they went in there praising the Lord? And they got to that camp, and the camp was gone. Confusion.
And he quoted the scripture, God can do exceedingly.
Abundantly. Yes.
Above all that we can ask or think. According to the power.
Absolutely. I don't even think, I know that we can't even imagine what God has planned.
What's God going to do?
And when young people are involved, because God has a heart for young people. And this is all about... that when men are authentic and strong enough to be transparent, then you begin to impact these young men. These are not women telling their stories. These are men.
And they're going to grow up.
Exactly.
And those messages, they'll be able to share.
Yes.
This book is going to bless thousands and thousands of young men.
Amen.
Because the fact that you're big enough to share the mistakes. Some people won't do that.
Ever.
They want to cover it up.
That's the most wonderful thing right there. Yes. Just the willingness.
So he couldn't go in.
He couldn't go
at his age.
Right.
Okay, it was.
And that he was not he wasn't a family, member of them. Now it might have been some. I probably could have done some things, maybe appealed or tried to write a letter to the warden. I don't know. But at that point, I was just like, give me the story. We'll take it from there. I was just grateful. I was really grateful that he was willing, to do that. And so, let me read off some of the other names. Oh yes, let's see here. We've got Tyler Hudson. He's an 11th grader at Stevenson High School. Tyler is so mature for his age. I see the hand of God on all these young men. He wrote about Coach Ron Rice, and Coach Rice used to be a Lions NFL player, and he's actually the president of the alumni chapter for Detroit. But he's still coaching, and I think he's doing some entrepreneurship. He's a U of D graduate. He's a very, very smart man. So he really did very, very. His story is very good. Jacob Williams, 8th grader at Detroit Country Day.
8th grader.
I got 2 8th graders in here.
An author in the 8th grade. That's awesome.
grade. Isn't that awesome? He wrote about Mr. Ron Spears, also an entrepreneur. He attends Hartford Baptist Church. William Burley, that's my brother. He's a senior at Southfield Regional Academy campus. William wrote about Minister Al McCann, and he also wrote about Mr. Herschel Bell. So he had to do 2 stories as well. And I'm telling you, that story that Minister McCann talked about with Adam Ant saving his life, he was on his way to do a drug deal, and Adam Ant said to him, man, this ain't the life for you. Go on. I need you to go on and play football. I'm telling you, it's some powerful stories. DeAndre Simpson, I love this young man, a 12th grader at U of D, JSU. He wrote the chapters on Councilman Tate and Senator Burt Johnson. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Some powerful stories. Powerful stories. Let's see here. We got Christopher Dunn. He's a senior at Detroit School of Arts. He wrote his chapter on Mr. Roselle McKay. I met Mr. McKay at Kinko's.
Really?
I sat there and watched him as he came in. I watched him as he went to the counter. I watched him as he talked and engaged with the people. And I said, he's got a story. And I went up to him and I said to him, can I speak with you for a minute? And I shared with him what I was doing. He almost began to cry. He said, how could you have known? I said, nothing but the Holy Spirit could have revealed that to me.
Mm.
Powerful. He has a powerful story.
Awesome.
Jalen Thomas, he's a senior graduating from Harrison High School. His chapter is written on Dr. Anthony Womack, used to be the principal at Central High School.
Okay.
Great educator as well as musician. He will be in town for the book signing. Then you have Farron Coleman. He's a 10th grader at Wall Lake Central High School. Once again, that young man has a wonderful spirit. And I mean, he's just powerful. All of these young men are powerful, in their own right. He wrote on Teferi Brent, and he's a minister at Fellowship Chapel, an activist, a businessman.
Wow.
Arthur Flowers, he's another 8th grader, Detroit Edison Academy.
Grader.
8th grader. So I got 3 8th graders in here.
Right.
8th grader. His is on Case Study Guide, Mr. Shawan Rest Press. Entrepreneur, Open Gates is his company. Justin Rogers, a 9th grader at Cass Tech. He wrote his chapter on Mr. Lynn Sanders, a retired sergeant, state trooper, a deacon at Third New Hope Church. What a powerful story dealing with commitment, marriage, children, that whole relationship
Just at the right
piece.
time for them to hear that.
Exactly. Broderick Thomas, an 8th grader at Quest Academy. He wrote his chapter on Mr. Chris Jackson, entrepreneur, strong businessman. One of the first blacks African Americans that were a part of the Greektown casino. Okay. That whole group, but has always been in the forefield with politics, in the forefield about blacks. He was a Gil Hill's chief of staff for a long time. So awesome young man.
Awesome, man.
Kevin Rogers, 9th grader at Fitzgerald High School. He wrote his chapter on Omar Wyatt, and he tells a story of once again dealing with marriage, dealing with drugs. And the last one is Giovanni Smith, writing his chapter, 10th grader at West Bloomfield High School. Giovanni, this is one of my son's best friends. I've been knowing him half his life. He wrote his chapter on Mr. Ken Coleman, which is talking about procrastinating destiny and how he got injured and did not want to do the right thing for healing and ultimately ended up messing up his football career. So all of the stories are not about criminal activity. There are everyday life experiences where we make choices that either move us towards our goal or away from our goal.
Away from your goal. That is just going to be an awesome, and I still say we have a movie as well.
All right.
That is just awesome. And I'm just happy all of a sudden you have the book. We had no idea when you consented for the second interview that you would have the book today.
Neither did I.
Awesome.
I had no idea that I would have it. So, that's God. That's God. And even when I was supposed to come earlier, so thank goodness I didn't come earlier because I wouldn't have had it at that time.
Yes.
But
well, I'm just excited, and you'll be at the conference this year in Kentucky, and you'll be doing the book signing.
I'll be doing the book signing.
Yes.
I'll be bringing some of the boys with me.
Awesome.
So they will be
what an
there.
Experience.
Yes, they're going to be there to sign. They'll be able to sign over the Freedom Weekend when I teach the classes and have a book signing there. So wherever I do the book signing, it's an opportunity for them to come and get the book. And we're taking pre-orders now, so they can go on the website, www.choicesmakingmovestowin.com.
And this is your master copy, and they'll be available.
They will be available by the end of the month.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I can't wait for the book signing to meet some of the young men and just congratulate them for a wonderful job that they've done. And a wonderful job you've done in pulling this all together. Dr. Flowers, it's just a joy. I'm just so happy that I met you.
I'm so happy I met you.
At Triumph.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, I believe.
Yeah, it has been. I still run into my Triumph family, so
we miss you.
Always big hugs
and I know
and
you're
kisses.
doing great work.
Yes.
Where you are now, but I miss seeing you.
Amen.
And I'm just so thankful to God that He has brought choices.
Yeah,
because it's going to be a blessing to many, many, many young men and old men too.
Exactly.
And we still some older men finding their way.
Yeah.
So it's never too
and freeing,
late.
freeing.
Yes.
To let people know that it's okay to share your story.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, it's empowering.
Awesome.
One of the things that I had to do the first time going around is really kind of engage parents and sale choices for the most part, because it took a commitment, not just from the youth, but I started with 20 and ended with 15, because it's a commitment, and they worked, and in order for me to say, published author behind your name, you had to do the work. There were 5 sections in this book, and they had to meet deadlines. I actually did workshops with them if they were struggling in any area. So not just a kudos to the young men, but kudos to the parents as well, and to the parents who said, yes, I believe in what you're doing, and I will allow my son to be a part of it. Now what they have done is now I'm going to the girls next. And now I already have parents asking, can my daughter participate in this? So whereas with them, I had to reach out to people and say, I need you to be a part of this. This is what God has laid on my heart. I need young men to do this. And those parents of these young men who said, yes, I am grateful for.
Yes.
Because, as you know, when you're just starting out doing something, you may have support, you may not. Another reason why I'm so grateful to the case study guides, because they said yes. Yes. And they didn't have to. They said yes to sharing their stories. They said yes to being transparent. They said yes to showing up for the interview, which was time.
Yes.
They said yes to coming to the photo shoot. There were many different times where they said yes, where they had to show a commitment to this project. This could not have been done without.
It had to be a collective commitment to bring choices.
Exactly. Yes, so I'm grateful for the yeses, for the commitment. From the case study guides, the men, from the parents, and from these young men.
Amen. Well, I'm excited. I am just so excited.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This has been Heart Expressions with Barbara, and we will see you.